We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230, KGEO, 1410 KERI, now in Albuquerque, New Mexico on 1000 KKIM, and now also on the internet on knookmedium.com, serving Richmond, Oakland, and the San Francisco Bay Area. So, Clay, what do you think of Lenora?
Oh, I've always enjoyed Lenora, but we're taking a major turn now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And I couldn't believe I couldn't get that little
Eliana.
name right.
Eliana.
I'm still suffering from jet lag. I apologize.
I can see that.
Yeah. Our next guest is a gentleman that I've been really wanting to talk to for the last couple of weeks. I've been listening to his book. He's a SEAL team leader, had a fascinating career, wrote a great book called Trident. Welcome to Jason Redman. Jason, welcome to Taking Care of Business.
Hey, Marty and Clay, thanks for having me on.
Boy, what a book and what a story you have.
So Trident, is that the little seal that you guys wear or earn when you become a SEAL?
That's right. The Trident is the warfare device for the SEAL teams, and it's just, it's a very recognizable device. It's pretty large for a warfare insignia. It's actually the largest warfare insignia in the Navy's warfare devices, but even large and military compared to other military devices. And it's very hard to get.
Wow.
We have about a 75% attrition rate going through training. And even when you make it through training, it doesn't actually guarantee you to earn your Trident. There's still a lot of other additional higher level training you have to go through and a vetting before finally you're awarded it. So tremendous hardship to get to the point that you earn it. And you never ever want to get to a point where you may lose it, which really gets into a little bit of the journey of the book.
Well, I understand that many of the SEALs gave them away when there was a funeral a while back where they put all the Tridents on the casket of a soldier that, I guess, saved some lives.
That's right. That has become a common practice after 9/11. I'm not sure what the first funeral was that one of our guys fell, and the guys decided they started doing that. But it became common practice after that for every funeral. So I've attended about 50 memorials and funerals in my career since 9/11. And, yeah, I've probably taken off, equally that many Tridents. And, I mean, it's a great honor to honor our brothers like that. There's actually a picture in the book honoring a good friend of mine, Adam Brown. When Adam fell, Adam was killed on March 17, 2010. And there's a picture in the book of me tacking my Trident onto his casket.
Adam who?
Brown.
Oh, yes.
Brown.
Yeah,
great book about him, Fearless.
Yeah, we've interviewed Eric Blem, who wrote that book 3 or 4 times. I love the books he writes, and it's a great story about Adam Brown.
Impressive.
It is.
Yeah. Now, where did you know Adam Brown from?
Adam and I served together off and on over the years, and we were, we I don't want to say I was incredibly close friends with Adam, but we had been friends. Our sons played on a basketball team together when they were younger, and we had known, him and his wife Kelly over the years. I actually sat on Adam's Trident board. I was an instructor at our team at the time when Adam was a new guy, and so definitely had known him for years. And I remember when he headed out on that deployment talking, and he was getting ready to get out. He told me this was his last deployment, and, I'll never forget just standing there in the locker. I had eye damage from my injuries, and Adam had eye damage in his careers, and we had been comparing notes, and I referred him to one of the doctors who had worked on me. And, of course, less than, 3 weeks later, he had been killed.
Wow. Now, there's also, I remember somewhere in the book you mentioned that there was a connection between you and Marcus Luttrell, who has that great book and that great movie that's out, Lone Survivor. What's the connection there between the two of you?
So my task unit was the task unit that was part of Operation Red Wings. So Eric Christensen was our task unit commander, and of course Eric was the senior ranking officer that was killed. So when that occurred, I actually was in Afghanistan. I was in Germany when that happened. So we quickly were told, hey, get your gear ready. You guys are flying to Afghanistan. And while we were waiting for our plane to head out, we got word that Marcus had been recovered, and we headed up the lawn stool, and we got to see Marcus, and then also Danny Dietz and Mike Murphy's bodies had been recovered. They flew in, so we got to see them, and then, of course, turned around and flew to Afghanistan the next day, and the recovery operations were still going on for Matt Axelson. So, I mean, I still talk to Marcus on a regular basis. I like to, we've done quite a few things with him. He's incredibly busy with the book, the movie, which was a great tribute. And I know Marcus is still trying to get out and raise awareness, not only for those guys, but for the sacrifice of all our military members.
We're having a conversation with Jason Redman, author of Trident.
You know, the movie is not just a tribute to Marcus, but it's a tribute to all the SEALs. I'm just amazed at how you guys can fight and continue on in the training that you've gone through. I mean, it's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your training and what you have to go through to become a SEAL?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing I'll add to the movie, I mean, it is an amazing tribute to the SEAL teams, but I hope people recognize that so many of our other military forces have been through that same sacrifice. I mean, that could easily be a Ranger platoon.
Right.
It could easily be an Army infantry platoon, Marine infantry platoon. I mean, unfortunately, those circumstances and those firefights are happening all over Afghanistan. That happened all over Iraq. So I hope the American people recognize that. For the SEAL teams, absolutely. It is the training we go through is incredibly tough. Some consider it some of the toughest training in the world. And it starts with basic underwater demolition training, or BUDS, down in Coronado, California. And then that continues on with much higher advanced levels of training. I talk a little bit about that in the book. I didn't really get into BUDS in the book. I think there's been enough books out there that cover that. But I talked about that journey of this advanced level of training, getting up to equating it to BUDS is high school. Then you have college-level courses where you're learning advanced stuff and specialized stuff, and even doctorate-level courses, maybe in sniper training or explosive ordnance, explosive training or communication training or whatever it is. And all of those things enable us to really hunt down and track and neutralize the enemy on a myriad of targets around the world.
What's the graduation rate?
25%. So
wow.
75% of the guys that start don't make it through training.
And if you can
and most guys, very few actually make it through in one shot. Only about 20% of that 25% that graduate actually graduate with their original class.
You know, and you mentioned this in the book, but I think you mentioned this in the book, but I remember when the man who talked me to going to the Marines was a UDT SEAL diver, and in the 60s they were in the Mekong Delta, you know, mining the river long before we were there. But the original SEALs were UDT, right? And then they evolved into the SEALs, right?
That's right. Actually, the history of the SEAL teams go back to World War II with the Scouts and Raiders. And the Scouts and Raiders were selected specifically for the mission of clearing all the obstacles on German beaches and even in the Japanese beaches. And highly decorated, took a heavy toll, 75% casualty rates on D-Day. From there, they evolved into the underwater demolition teams. And in 1962, January 1st, 1962, John F. Kennedy commissioned the SEAL teams, SEAL Team 1 and SEAL Team 2.
Jason, why did you elect to become a SEAL? What prompted that?
You know, I came from a family of military. A highly decorated grandfather in World War II who was a B-24 pilot. My great-uncle made the ultimate sacrifice in the Pacific. My dad served in the Army during Vietnam. I just grew up always wanting to serve in the military. And when I was about 14, my dad was actually the one who told me about the SEAL teams. He'd actually put and done some jump training with some SEALs and just really was impressed by them. He thought they were all totally insane. And I remember as a kid, he was like, hey, you'd be perfect for it. You know, they jump out of planes, they blow stuff up, and they're all crazy. He's like, you'll fit right in.
Yeah, you made a hit with the SEALs, huh?
I did, and most guys definitely live up to that. So, but an amazing organization too. It really, one of the things that is incredible about, and not only the SEAL teams, I see this across special operations. The vast majority of the guys that are part of the SEAL teams in SOF could do anything. We have guys who are investment bankers. We have guys who were going down the path to become doctors and decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this. We have guys who were mountain guides or ski guides. It's just incredible the diverse background that we attract. And there is no equation on what makes a SEAL aside from the unspoken gene that says, you just will not quit despite whatever adversity you're placed with.
It's funny you mentioned that. I teach at one of the universities here one night a week, and I was in there last night talking to a gentleman. This guy looks like your prototype professor, deep glasses, the whole bit, elderly gentleman. And we were talking a little bit, and he mentioned the military, and I told him I was in the Marines for a little while, and he said, he says, I was Ranger, he says, Special Forces in Vietnam, and I looked at this guy and I started cracking up. I said, you just don't look the part, So, it's amazing where you go in life, after you've had that experience and what it does for the rest of your life. When we come back from the break, I want to talk a lot about the book and about the management that you learned going through the experiences you've gone through. So we'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.